Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. I welcome you to today's word. Today we are reading Genesis chapter 21, the second part. In the first part, we read about the birth of Isaac. Today we are going to read about how Ishmael and Hagar were sent away. We read that Isaac, when the child Isaac was born, he was circumcised on the 8th day. And then on the day that he was weaned, a great feast, a celebration was made in his honor. And when that celebration was ongoing, we see the son Ishmael mocking a newborn baby. And Sarah sees it, and she tells Abraham, send this slave woman with her son away. This distressed Abraham so much, but God told Abraham, send him away. For this child will not share in the inheritance with Isaac. Abraham gave him some food and a skin of wine, and they left. And they went in the desert of Beersheba, where they wandered, and the food ran out, and there was nothing to eat and drink. So Hagar put his son under a tree, and she moved a stone throw away, and she started to sob, and the child was also crying. So the Lord heard the cry of the child from heaven, and he came down. He sent an angel came to Hagar and showed her and told her that God would bless that child and he would be a father to nations. And he showed her a well where she fetched water and gave the son, and he revived. The son grew and stayed in the desert of Paran, and he became an archer. And there Hagar got a wife for him from the Egyptians, from Egypt. What do we learn, my brothers and sisters? Let us look at these verses again. We see that the child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham had held a feast. On the day this child was weaned, Isaac held a very great feast. This child was the pride of the family. He was the child of the promise. He was where the child through which God was going to fulfill his promises to make Abraham into a great nation, and all nations on earth would be blessed through Abraham, through this seed, Isaac. Now this seed, who was a blessing to the whole world, is being celebrated, and this is a time when gifts are being given, blessings are being invoked on him. They are showering him all the blessings. Congratulations are on Sarah, a happy occasion. And amidst this, Ishmael is mocking this young boy. Ishmael, who is 28 years old, is mocking a newborn baby. How does this Ishmael know that this child should be mocked? Why would he create a hatred for a newborn baby? My brothers and my sisters, when a child speaks, when you hear a child speak, sometimes a child speaks some words which are bigger than him, it is not the child speaking. It is the mother, it is the father, it is the elders, it is the parents speaking through the child. Whatever you speak in the house thinking that the child is not hearing or the child is not listening, the child will speak it loudly in the open. I believe in the house, Hagar was speaking about Sarah, about her barrenness, about her situation, or Hagar was mocking, and Ishmael was downloading. He was putting it inside him. Hagar knew that she was the bride. She was the woman who became pregnant when Sarah is barren. Hagar knew she was the woman who produced an heir when Sarah was barren. So she knew she was everything. She was the love of the loved wife now. But here comes Sarah is pregnant. Hagar is threatened. She knows that her position is going to be destroyed. And Sarah gives birth to a son. Now she knows that now the son, she was just a maid. Even the Bible here calls her a maid servant. It doesn't even give her the honor of a concubine. No, it calls her a maid servant. and her son, her maid servant and her son. So she doesn't have any honor in the family or any position, special position. Because now she says that Sarah is no longer barren. Sarah has given birth to a son, and the son is the heir. And all the eyes are on the heir. Even Abraham is overjoyed because the heir is born. So she knows she is no longer important. Her son is no longer important. She will only remain the maid servant, and the son will only remain the son of the maid servant, which means he cannot inherit anything but receive just a few gifts and be sent away. So Sarah starts mocking or speaking evil against Sarah, against this newborn baby. And Ishmael is listening. Ishmael also sees the celebration, how luxurious they are, the slaughterings and the gifts and the blessings, and he sees none of them have been done to him, for him. So he lashes it through his mouth. He speaks it out. He speaks the words of a mother. He speaks the anger of the mother is spoken through his mouth. His own anger is spoken through his mouth. Their retaliation is through the mouth of Ishmael. Abraham does not see it. Abraham sees only his son. He sees that this is my firstborn son, but this is the heir. He doesn't see what is behind the mockery and the ridicule. But Sarah, God enabled Sarah to see further. I believe it's God who was speaking through Sarah because Abraham's conscience was already seared somehow. So Sarah sees the mockery and she sees beyond. She sees these words are not the words of Ishmael. The mocking are not the mockeries of Ishmael. They are the mockeries of her mother. They are the bitterness of the mother. It is the bitterness of the son and the mother and Hagar and Ishmael combined. And she sees in a future where her son is mistreated or even killed because of his birth. So she sees these two as a big threat to this child. And she makes a decision, these people cannot stay here anymore. So she says to Abraham, drive them away, send them away. Abraham is so distressed. Why? He's distressed because it is his blood. And he still feels that Ishmael has a place in his family to inherit anything. But God says, listen to your wife Sarah, let the woman go. Let the maid servant and her son go. My brothers and sisters, Ishmael was never part of the promise. Ishmael was never God's plan. God said, I will bless you. He told Abraham, I will bless you through your seed, through your own offspring, the fruit from your own womb, from Sarah's womb, not from the maid servant's womb. And God said, I will give you a son. Now, the son that God was to give Abraham was a promise. Isaac was a child of a promise. Ishmael was a child of the flesh. It was a result of Sarah, Abraham, and Hagar coming together in their flesh to concord fashion out something that became into being Ishmael. It was not God. God was not in it, and he was not part of it. So Ishmael was not going to inherit any part of the inheritance of Abraham or any blessings that would come from God through Abraham. So Abraham was distressed. He was distressed because he wanted Ishmael to stay. But it was not God's plan. We cannot change God's plan. We cannot force God to change his mind. We cannot force God into our plans. God's plans are his. Abraham wanted to force God to change his mind and include Ishmael, but God was not in it. Brothers and sisters, Hagar had destroyed the marriage earlier by interfering and mocking Sarah, and the child was doing the same. God was not going to allow it. A marriage is between two people, and no concubine and no maid servant is supposed to interfere. Our marriages today are destroyed by Hagars and Ishmaelites. When they come in and they destroy because the man is divided, and the man will always have a side to choose. And the man will always sometimes mostly choose the side of the concubine because he feels the concubine is mistreated or the concubine is handled less. So he will always fall to the side of the concubine or the side chick. This is what destroys marriages. An Ishmaelite, when he comes in a family, an outside child, when he comes, the father will always lean to the side of the outside child because he feels he's mistreated or is not much loved. So he feels he's showing the much love that the child is missing. What he's doing is only destroying the marriage. He's destroying the happiness and love in the family, because the plan of God is that Ishmael should stay in the wilderness. He cannot share inheritance with the son of the promise. My brother, my sister, don't bring outside children into your marriage. You reduce the marriage to struggles and quarrels and turmoil. The love that was there vanishes and it becomes a struggle. It was not like that. That is why Ishmael was told to go. Sarah was to stay there and be happy and nurse her blessings. You cannot nurture and nurse your blessings when Ishmael and Hagar are interfering. Our marriages today are destroyed by Ishmaelites, by Hagars, who come in secret or in the open, and they remove the peace and destroy the happiness. Men, learn from this. Men feel that they are men. Who said that being a man means you produce outside children to show you are a man? Does it mean if you don't produce outside, you are less a man? Who said that if you don't move outside and have relationships outside, it makes you less a man? This is what destroys marriages. It nearly destroyed Abraham. He held on Ishmael, but the God said, let her go. Let her go. Let Ishmael go. Why would you destroy your marriage, your happiness? Do you know it was just quarrel? Sarah was unhappy. Hagar was struggling to earn her place where she was not supposed to. She was forcing her way. And Sarah was unhappy because she was trying to safeguard her marriage. This is the struggle, and the man, you stay in between. You want to please your wife, you want to please your concubine, you want to stay with both of them, you don't know how to quiet them, you don't know how to make them stop, and you are torn between them. What is that little pleasure that will give you problems all your life? The two children, the Bible says they'll never stay happy together. One will always be fighting the other. Abraham listened. He drove Ishmael away. Ishmael went. Ishmael was driven away. Ishmael went. And when Ishmael went, he was not given an inheritance. Abraham did not give him any inheritance. There were no flocks, there were no herds, there were no tents, there was nothing, only a little food and a skin of water, because the inheritance was for Isaac. Why? God said, it is through your offspring I will bless you, and the inheritance will be only for Isaac. Why do you now, when you have been blessed, when you start your life, you start with one coat, one jacket, one stool, with a wife who is struggling. When you are blessed, you now look for Ishmael and Hagar, you bring them, and you want to divide the blessing. You destroy your families. Ishmael was sent away with only a little food and water. And they went. When Ishmael went in the desert, he had nothing. He was now hungry. And he cried. His cry reached to God. It was time for him now to cry for help, not from Abraham, because Abraham was no longer his help. His help was God. And he cried to God. His cry reached to God, and God answered. In your wilderness, cry to God. In your wilderness, as you and Ishmael, you Hagar, it is not that the life has come to the end. Cry to God in your wilderness. God will hear. God heard the cry, not for Hagar. Hagar was sobbing, but she was not heard. Ishmael cried. God heard the cry because of the linkage of blood between him and a righteous man called Abraham. God heard it. And an angel came and gave a solution of water. And God said, I'll bless you. You will be a nation, but with a curse. You will stay in you will have friction with your brothers. You will never you live happily. Always be fighting, and you'll always struggle to even earn your food. That is the life of Ishmael. Always struggling, always in friction, always in a fight with his relatives. But blessings are meant for Isaac. Don't destroy families, brothers and sisters, by being a man, by going to look for a Hagar or to look for a side chick and get a child and say, I'm bringing home, he is my son, I am a man, this is what I should do. That is the result. God says no. Ishmael's place is in the desert. He will be given a skill there on how to survive. So we see when Ishmael left, now Hagar went and they stayed in the desert. The child grew in the desert, and Hagar brought a wife for him from Egypt. Hagar herself was an Egyptian. Her origin was Egyptian. So she went back to her roots. She went back to her roots and brought a child for him from Egypt, who married Ishmael. Ishmaelites are Egyptians, and they lived in the desert and prospered there. When Abraham's time, Isaac's times for marriage came, also Isaac himself sent for a wife for him from his lineage back in Haran, and a wife was brought for him. When it came to Hagar, Abraham did not send for a wife for Ishmael. It was Hagar herself. Why? Because Abraham had been cut off completely from any linkage with Ishmael. He was to concentrate on fulfilling God's will to fill the earth, to prosper it, and to do the will of God. Ishmael was just was a confusion, something that was deviating from the way. Ishmael was something that was deviating him from the way, and God removed it from his side. When he remained with Isaac, he concentrated on now doing God's work, looking ahead, preparing Isaac for the blessings that were to come and for the fulfilling of the will of God. So my brother and my sister, how many times have we delayed or short-circuited our blessings by bringing Ishmaelites and Hagars into our homes? How many times have we made God to delay our blessings so that God wants to bless us and we delay it? So my brothers and sisters, let us learn from this, that God intended that marriage be something holy, a holy union, without any delusion, without anything that will come and dilute it and remove you out of the way, any distraction. And Hagar is always a distraction. Ishmael is the product of the distraction, and it will destroy families. Abraham stayed straight a bit, but he stayed on the path. And he stayed on the right path until his death. May God bless you as you ponder on this word and not deviate on it. God bless you, my brothers and sisters. Shalom.